Hey guys, Will here, and yes, that's what we're doing today. We're doing clothes. Welcome back to another tutorial, chapter 1, anatomy. Now, I was actually quite scared to do another tutorial because of what happened with the hair one. Now, if you don't know what happened in that video, then it's still on the channel. You can go and check it out and you know why I was scared to do this one. I also have made a playlist of all the previous tutorials and my relaxing drawing time lapses, so you can check those out if you want. Also, maybe consider subscribing as you won't miss out on any upcoming videos or tutorials. Anyway, let's get started. So, with clothes and a lot of my drawings now, I started using reference images. So what I've actually done is taken pictures of myself, well, a couple of pictures of myself, and I've done them in these clothes. I've also used another person in some other clothes as well. But yeah, drawing from reference is really easy, and some people say it is cheating, but I don't think it is. It's just really helpful. Tracing I would say is cheating, but using reference, no, I think it's fine to do that, because it's better to use that than imagine something out of your head and maybe it actually comes out worse. So what you want to do with clothes is, if you're going to find yourself a picture or got a reference, you want to draw a rigid shape first. Now I've actually drawn a cross to show how the t-shirt is going to act as a 3D object. And when you're drawing the rigid outline, it is going to look a bit weird because you haven't added any of the creases, the shading, or any of the other details yet. So it will look a bit weird, but just trust the process. So what you need to do is just keep going, keep drawing that really rigid outline, just like this. And then as you're going along, you can sometimes just smoothen out the shape. Just keep going over the top, keep smoothing it out, because actually what I'll do at the end is go over it with a pen, do some line art, and finalise the designs. Now, something I have learned recently, which is quite useful, is with the pens that I have, and with a lot of pens, once they're dry, you can rub over the top and it erases the pencil underneath, so you don't have all these lines underneath, and it's not such a difficulty when you're colouring. Now, so you can actually make this a tank top or a vest just by drawing circles onto the sides here, but obviously leave the other side blank, because obviously you've got to think about perspective with this as well. So that could be a tank top just like that, or a vest. However, we are doing a t-shirt, so we're going to draw the sleeves. So on the t-shirt I have, the sleeves just come down like this. Now, with different types of people and different sizes, obviously you're going to have different shapes of sleeves, or different ways that the t-shirt is presented, or the piece of clothing is presented. So you've got to apply that perspective, apply that 3D image to the thing that you're drawing. Now it is a lot easier when you're on digital, because obviously it's a lot faster. You can obviously trace and just cut out images and use that instead, but I actually prefer to draw freehand because it's a bit more of an adventure, I think, in my perspective. Yeah, here are the sleeves. You want to add a bit of curve onto the sleeves, just to add a bit of that 3D model again. So yeah, it does look quite weird right now, but you've got the basic shape. You can see like the 3D-ness. I might just add a neck in as well, just like to show where the person would be. And now we just add in some crease lines, very faint ones, just going over them a little bit, and sometimes just giving them a little bit of a tick at the ends just to sharpen them. And then what we're going to do after that is we're going to add just a couple more. Now this is you don't have to be precise with them, but if you're using a reference, it's ideally best to like really look at it, really where like the creases go, how they move, how they happen, that allow the t-shirt or the piece of clothing to look how it does, how it moves freely, or maybe it's like flapping in the wind or something. You have to really apply detail to make it actually look like what's happening to the piece of clothing is actually happening. So what I've done here is, it may look a bit messy, but like I said, we're going to go over it with line art. But I've done all the creases around the top of the shoulder, what they'd look like. I've done some creases at the bottom because the image of me that I'm using is slightly turned to the side. I'm just going to add the like cuffing and stuff onto the t-shirt as well. Now as a bit of extra detail. And then, like I said, I might add a bit of a neck as well. Now you can reshape the neck bit if you want. Some of them come into a point, some of them are just circular, and they're all a bit of different shape, really. But yeah, it's pretty much simple from there. So now what I'm doing is making it slightly more square and a bit more to a point. And then I'm just gonna, add the neck in, just give a bit more of an idea of how the person sits in it. And then I think we're gonna go ahead and add some creases on the other side. Now, coming over to the other side, it doesn't actually appear that it needs that many creases, just some down on the bottom bit here, just to show how much like it's turned and how the t-shirt is presented in the picture. So yeah, that's the t-shirt done. You can take a look, take a little stare. You can go back and follow that again if you want to. But now we're going to move on to, let's say a hoodie or a jacket. So, once again, what you want to do is start with the rigid line, and I'll get back to you once that's done. Now, with the hood, what you'll actually want to do is actually bring it up and then out a little bit, and then back into a sort of flatter line at the top, because this is how hoods sit on the head, and you've actually got to really look at the detail, because just like that. Otherwise, it might look too good on a person. So now we're going to add some of the details and then add a bit of creasage as well. So we've added some stripes and a zipper and like a little collar on the coat / hoodie. Now we're going to add a bit of like a seam on top, and now we're going to start with the creases and shadows. So once again, round the neck, what we're going to do is just add some really, really short ones, and then add some little ticks onto the end of them just to make them a bit sharper. Now what you don't want to do is add too many, because otherwise it becomes overcrowded and it just doesn't look right anymore. Movements are on the head here is slightly more different, and it's a bit harder because if you've got hair underneath the hood, the crease is going to be all weird and everything, and you've got to like really pay attention to the detail there. However, if you've got something on underneath the hood, I don't think you will need creases. But it also depends on what type of material it is. So if it's like nylon, obviously it's going to be creased a little more, but if it's like a jumper, then obviously it's going to be crease less. There we go. And the crease lines are going to be smoother. So I think that's the jacket / hoodie pretty much done. We're actually just going to add in the little hoodie strings as well. There we go. Okay, so now moving on to the dress. I have actually done a rigid outline already, because as you know, that is the first step. Once again, now with this dress, it actually has 3 separate sections on the actual skirt bit down the bottom here. So we're just going to add those in now. So it's got a top one, which is like less frilly. Middle one, which is like medium frilly, and then the bottom one, which is like in the winds, but also like really, really wavy and stuff as well.
angle just to get the best idea.
We're also just adding the cross line in as well, just to add a bit of 3D aspects and know where our subject is looking.
Now,
I've also drawn a neck for this one just for the idea of where the person would be. Now once again we're going to add in the creases, just little ticks on the ends. We don't want these to be too bold as well, otherwise yeah, it's not going to look great. Now, like I said before, what I've done here is I've actually added too many, and now it doesn't look like creases, it just looks like lines on the dress and it looks a bit flat. So what I'm going to do is go onto it again, but I'm going to go a bit softer on my lines and also a bit less frequent. There we go, and now that's done. I've actually added a bit more detail on the creases this time, just because on the dress that I've got a reference from, one of the creases actually goes all the way down to the bottom, so I've got to apply that to the dress that I'm drawing here. Sorry. Yes, we've also got to think about like the waviness on each layer where it separates as well, and apply the creases to the shape of them. Okay, so now we're just finishing up on the bigger crease down the bottom here, and we're adding some final little ones in. I have tried to do the second wavy bit of layer as well, and I've just got to apply the wavy bits to the creases as well as applying the creases to the wavy bits. I don't know the technical terms because I'm not very into like the fashion industry, clothes, textiles, but yeah. We're just adding a few more down the bottom here, and I think that looks pretty good. Now, yeah, just gonna a few more. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So we're just gonna add like the sleeves on this dress are a bit different because they're more I think the material is thinner, so it creases more. So you're gonna kind of have to be a bit more loose with your creases, a bit more experimentative with them, just to get that sort of like loose, thin sort of material effect. There we go. And also on the dress it has this sort of like going to either sides, like across, and it sort of comes across in strips as well, just like this.
There we go. And
there we go, that's the dress done. Now moving on to the skirt.
So
I think we're gonna go with the like a bigger skirt, I guess. It could be bigger or smaller, depends how big you draw it. It could be shorter as well, it could be longer. But I think we're gonna go with like the more free one as well. One that is, yeah, again, I don't know the technical terms. So once again, rigid shape. That's all done. You should know by now what comes next. The creases and little ticks on the ends.
And once it gets to it as well.
Now, one thing I did actually forget to mention earlier was the shading, and this is very important for making subjects or objects look more 3D, and these go like along the creases. So I'll do that in a minute as well.
Right, now.
And there we go, that's the skirt all done. I've also done all the shading on all the other creases and where it needs to be as well. And now we're going to finally move on to trousers and shorts.
Just so we can fit this in.
So I've got my reference image up, and again, you should know how this works. So we're just going to skip to the bit where we're doing the creases because this one is slightly different. So the reason this one is slightly different is because you've got to think about this area here that I'm drawing in, but also the 3D model of it as well, because obviously you've got, instead of a free-flowing object, you've got to think about how it wraps around the legs and how, when you bend joints, how is that going to affect the clothes as well. So this person's sort of like bending their knee and they're standing at an angle. So I'm going to try and apply creases that show that what's happening. I've also added shoes, but we won't do those yet. That's for another video. Now I've actually added in a bit more detail, like the pockets and the thing, just to let me know like where everything is. And I've added also some lines up the top there, just to give it a bit more of a 3D look.
Perfectly honest,
so
shorts is basically
for
just
shorts,
this,
basically all we need to do is we need to cut off a line about halfway down, draw it a bit thicker here and here, and then all we need to do is then add some cuffs here, because A, have run out of space for shorts, and B, this is a much simpler way to do it. So if you're drawing shorts and then you decide you want trousers, just add legs onto the bottom. If you're drawing trousers but decide you want shorts, just run out the bottom bits and just have the shorts on top and add a bit of cuffs, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that's it. Now we're going to go over with pen. And here we are. So, they're looking pretty good. I haven't rubbed out the pencil just yet. So we've got the t-shirt, the hoodie jacket, we've got the skirts, we've got the dress, and we've got the shorts and trousers with a bit underneath. And I have also done a bit of shading and some stuff on there as well. Thank you so much for watching. Really hope you have enjoyed. Oh, I've just remembered. I forgot to do like hats and glasses and shoes and it. You know what? That's another video because that's accessories. Hopefully that will be the next tutorial. I have had to switch up the schedule a bit, so tutorials are now going to be every now and then rather than every 3 relaxing time-lapse videos, should we say. Now, as you know, it is actually Pride Month. So we're actually going to do something a little special for the end here. Here we go. So I've actually included all the flags that I know onto the clothes. Obviously, if I have missed any, do let me know down in the comments. Once again, hope you have enjoyed watching. And I will see you all next time. Goodbye.